Jai Ram Hare Jai Ram Hare Jai Sita Ram Hare Jai Ram Hare Jai Ram Hare Jai Sita Ram Hare Jai Krishna Hare Jai Krishna Hare Jai Radha Krishna Hare Most humble pranams at the lotus feet of our side. Respected elders and friends. As she rightly said, all good news only for you. So, and I'm glad that you all stayed there because I do need to give you the way out of karma, because otherwise it would have been a bad karma on my side. And morning I said before I talked about the law of karma that everyone must understand the law of karma. But from the practical point of view, what I am going to talk now is I cannot really have words to describe how important this is. In fact, I was surprised when Andrew and others called me and said that the topics chosen is the law of karma and Namasmarana. It's remarkable, Swami, how he guided you in this. Because the answer to the law of karma is Namasmarana. This has happened several times before. People, they always choose these two together. And even the way it was given, if you asked me to talk about Namasmarana in the morning and karma in the evening, it would have been the other way around. So you can see that Swami has been guiding you from the very word go. So that's very nice to know. Well, you all know, we all know, everyone knows that any action, important, unimportant, small, big, to produce the best results, the ideal results, the optimal results, must be done at the right time. Timing is most crucial. Even the best of karmas, if it is done at the wrong time, may not only fail to produce the correct result, it may sometimes even produce bad effects, what is called pratyavaya janakam, or producing results which are bad. See, when you are thirsty, you need water, not food, to slake your thirst. When you are hungry, it's not water you need food to appease your hunger. Timing is crucial. I said that even the best of action done at the wrong time can produce wrong results. Let me give you a couple of examples here. Many Sai devotees go to the hospitals to do service activities. Now, suppose you go into the hospital Monday morning, Saturday morning, let's say, and you see a child 5 or 6 years old is crying. When you go into the room, his mother has gone somewhere, so he's alone, and you're asking, why are you crying? And he says, I am hungry. Nobody is giving anything for me to eat. Now, don't go quote the scriptures here saying that feeding a hungry person is the best of karmas without finding out why they did not feed the child. If the child is being prepared for a major operative procedure, they would have given the instructions obviously that don't feed this child. If you don't quote the scriptures and feed the child there, you can kill this child. So it is a good action done at the wrong time can be pratyavaya janaka. Or in my practice it always happens. See, suppose a person that comes with an infection, a particular antibiotic at a particular time given in a particular dose will save his life. A week before it's useless. A week later it may not be of any use. Once the person is dead, there's no point in giving antibiotic anyway. So timing is crucial. Even a very noble action like charity. Krishna says in the Gita, Datam yamiti yadhanam diyate nutakarine deshem kale cha patreja tadharam satvikam smritam. He says even a charity, if it is done at an inappropriate time, inappropriate place, to undeserving individuals, that is no longer a good action. So, you see here that an action must be properly done at the appropriate timing. Now, we all know that we are living in Kali Yuga. It is a unanimous verdict of everyone that Kali Yuga is the worst of all times. The Chatur Yugi, or the Mahayuga as we call it as, comes in cyclical form. The Krita Yuga, also called as Sathya Yuga, later by Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga and Kali Yuga. And Kali Yuga is the worst of all times. Why is it called a bad time? For several reasons. One, Krishna says in the Gita that the large majority of people in Kali Yuga are tamasic in nature. What does it mean? Krishna again says, Tamas Acharajam Vidhi Mohanam Sarvadehinam Pramad Halasya Nidravi Tannibadhradi Bharata. Tamas Ajnanajam Vidhi. Know that tamas is the nature of ignorance and it causes error, sloth and sleep in that individual. What is the cause? The outlook of that individual. What will be the outlook of a tamasic person? Krishna goes on to say, Adharmam dharmamidya manyase tamasavrata sarvarthan viparitamscha buddhisa parthathamasi. He says, Adharmam dharmam iti manyate. A tamasic person will always consider right action as wrong action, dharma as adharma, and adharma as dharma. And sarvarthan viparitamscha. Everything he will interpret, he or she will interpret in the wrong way. I don't have to give you examples here because you will see how people will come and argue for the thing which you think is absolutely wrong, they will try to tell you that is the right thing to do. So that is the problem, that in the Kali Yuga, the large majority of people are of tamasic nature. The second problem is, in Kali Yuga, our lifespan is very, very short. In today's world, if someone lives to 100 years, his name will come in the newspaper. There will be an interview with that person. But in the previous Yuga, the Dwapara Yuga, the lifespan used to be 200 years old, Treta Yuga 300 years old, and the Krita Yuga it was 400 years old. Even in the Dwapara Yuga, see the Mahabharata war occurred about 36-37 years before the Kali Yuga started. Kali Yuga started the day Krishna gave up his life. When the Mahabharata war occurred, grandsire Bhishma was the commander-in-chief. for the Kaurava army during the first 10 days of the Mahabharata war. And you know how old he was? He was 125 years old when he was the commander-in-chief of the Kaurava army. And Swami says they were considered middle-aged around that time. So you can imagine, even at the end of Dwapara Yuga, the lifespan used to be like 130, 140, 150 years. So in Kali Yuga, the lifespan is relatively short. So that is the second problem. The third problem is, Krishna again says in the Gita in the 7th chapter, he will say, Arjuna, look around you. Who is interested in spirituality? Who wants God? He says, Manushyanam sakasreshu kaschit yedadi siddhaye yatatam abhisiddhanam kaschinmam vetti tattvadaha sakasranam manushyeshu kaschit siddhaye. He says, look around you, Arjuna. If you consider thousands and thousands of people, one odd person you will find who is interested in God and spirituality. Yatatam siddhanam abhi kaschit mam tattvadaha veti. He says, of the people who are interested in God, you will find 1 out of a million who truly know my true nature. What I am, how I am, etc. So that is another problem. Very few people are interested in spirituality. So we should all consider ourselves very great, in fact. In Kali Yuga, we are all sitting here on Saturday, listening to this is a real good thing to happen. The fourth is, in Kali Yuga, I already said, it's a bad time, short lifespan, and very few are interested in spirituality. Even those people who are interested in spirituality, they have hardly any time for spiritual activities. Early morning, you are rushing to the office, you had a quick bath, you don't even have time to eat your breakfast, so most of them are eating breakfast while they are driving the car. They go after finishing the work, when they come back in the evening, you have got your son to go for swimming class, somebody else go to tabla class, somebody else has to go to this sports, that sports, and you are running around. By the time you come back, it's 8, 9 or 10 at night, and you need to brush up on the latest news, what's happening in Afghanistan or Libya or some other place. So you want to watch the news. Where is this time for sitting and doing spiritual activities? So even those people who are interested in spirituality in Kali Yuga, you have hardly any time that you can spend for spiritual activity. Now what is it that I am trying to tell you? I am trying to say this, that is there a specific recommended spiritual sadhana for Kali Yuga by God Himself? If there is one, it makes sense to take up that and not waste our limited time on some other spiritual activities. Right? Surprisingly enough, this question, even many people were bothered even at the end of Dwapara Yuga, the previous Yuga. Many rishis were very worried. They were all saying, oh my goodness, Kali Yuga is going to start. What will people do in Kali Yuga? What are they going to do? So what they did, all the rishis got together and they wanted a retreat, something like a small camp. They wanted to discuss this, a panel discussion sort of a thing, to find out is there a specific spiritual sadhana recommended for Kali Yuga? And they had also some other questions like, which of the 4 yugas is best for spiritual sadhana? So whom do you think they invited as the chief guest for that? None other than sage Vedavyasa. Now Vedavyasa, as you know, we even celebrate the Guru Purnima is to recognize and respect him. Vedavyasa, he got the name Vedavyasa is because he was the one who collected all the Vedic knowledge and divided it into 4, the Rig Veda, the Yajurveda, Samaveda and Atharvana Veda. So he got the name Vedavyasa, the one who divided the Vedas. His actual name is Krishna Dvaipayana. Krishna means dark complexion, like Lord Krishna. Dvaipayana means born in an island. Dvipam means an island. He was born to Parashara, the sage Parashara, and Mother Satyavati. He was born in an island, so he is called actually Krishna Dvaipayana. Remember that every Chaturyugi, when it comes, every Dwapara Yuga, there will be a Vedavyasa. For this Dwapara Yuga, it is Krishna Dvaipayana is our Vedavyasa. So Vedavyasa is a master in his knowledge is bottom is like an ocean, and he is considered a Amsha avatar of Lord Krishna himself or Vishnu himself. You must have heard the saying, Vyasam Vasishthanatvaram Shakte Pautravakalmasham Parasharatmajam Vande Shukatadam Tabodhim Vyasaya Vishnu Rupaya Vyasa Rupaya Vishnave Vyasaya Vishnu Rupaya is a partial manifestation of Lord Vishnu himself. Vedavyasa knows the past, the present and future of everybody. No, they invited Vedavyasa to come to this conference to give the guest lecture sort of a thing. So he already knew what are the doubts in the minds of these people. So when he walked into the congregation, he was talking as if to himself in the hearing of others. How lucky are people born in Kali Yuga? How lucky are people born in Kali Yuga? So everybody is surprised. Here they are all worried. What is going to happen to people in Kali Yuga? And here is Vedavyasa saying that how lucky are people born in Kali Yuga. As far as the question as to whether there is a single spiritual sadhana for Kali Yuga, this is what Vedavyasa has said. He said, Krite jayane ejam etnyehi tretayam dvapare archagan edapnodi tadapnodi kalau kechava kirtana. He said, Krite jayane, in the Krita Yuga, the first of the Yugas, the recommended spiritual practice was austerities and penance. Etnyehi Tretaya. Etnyas or ritual etnyas or sacrifices used to be the best spiritual practice recommended for Treta Yuga when Sri Rama was there. Dwapare Archagan. Dwapare Yuga, Krishna's time, it was puja, worship, that used to be the recommended spiritual practice. Kalau Keshava Kirtana. Kali Yuga, chanting the Lord's name is the recommended spiritual practice. Now, many other rishis also had this question. The other was Sage Narada. Sage Narada is a VVIP. He can go into any of the 14 created worlds. He can enter anywhere he wants. So, Narada had this question. So, what he did, he walks into Brahmaloka where created Brahma is there. In Brahmaloka, he has special access. Why? Because he was the son of Brahma himself. That's why another name for Narada is Brahma Kumara. He is the son of Brahma. So he was going to see his father. Who can stop him? So he walks into his father's presence, and then the conversation occurs between Narada and Brahma himself. And this is the question he asked. Fortunately for us, this conversation which happened between Narada and Brahma is recorded in the form of a small Upanishad called as the Kali Santharana Upanishad. Kali is Kali Yuga. Santarana, to cross across Kali, that is the Upanishad. It's a very small Upanishad. It starts off like this. Dwaparande. Dwaparande means the end of Dwapara Yuga. Dwaparande Narado Brahmanam Jagama Katham Bhaghavan Gam Bhajyanan Kalim Santare Yamiti. He says, oh, Dwaparande Narado Brahmanam Jagama. He, Narada, went to Brahma at the end of Dwapara Yuga. Then he asked him, Katham Gam Bhajyanan Kalim Santare Yamiti. Oh Dad, please tell me what is the way out for people in Kali Yuga to cross across this misery called as samsara. So, Father is saying, Vaparande Narado Brahmanam Jagama Kadam Bhagavan Gam Bhajadan Kalim Tantaraye Vidi Sahovaja Brahma Sadhu Prishtosmi. Father is absolutely pleased. He says, Narada, you ask the best of questions that you can ask. Just like a parent, when the child comes and asks a very good question, you are very happy that he asked that question. So Brahma is very pleased with the question that Narada asked. This is the answer what he gives Narada. Sarvashruti Rahasyam. Mark the words here. Sarvashruti Rahasyam Gopyam Tasruno Yena Karisamsaram Darishyasi. He says Sarva Shruti Rahasyam. Most secretive knowledge contained in all the Vedas and the Shastra. He repeats the word Gopyam. Most secretive knowledge I am going to tell you. Sarvashruti Gopyam Dasrunayena Kali Samsaram Darishyasi. What is the knowledge? Bhagavada Adipurishasya Narayanasya Namochsarana Matrena Nirdhuta Galarbhavati. He says, just by taking the chanting of the Lord's name, you can cross across the ocean called as samsara. You will be able to wipe off all your karmas. Later on the Buddha will say, Nada Paratarobhaya Sarva Vedeshu Drishyade. And Brahma says, tells Narada, even if you comb through the whole of the Vedas, you are not going to find any other means to cross the ocean samsara in Kali Yuga. So it is no surprise. Narada, armed with this knowledge, he says the Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam, remember, is one of the 18 Puranas. The most important is the Bhagavata Purana. In that, Narada is saying, Yat palam nasti tapasa na yogena samadhina tat palam labade samyak kalau keshava kirtana. He says, Yat palam nasti tapasa. That spiritual merit which cannot be acquired by doing tapas or austerities, na yogena na samadhina, not by using yogic practices, nor even by going into samadhi itself, tat phalam labade samyak kalau keshava. That spiritual merit you can gain in Kali Yuga by chanting the Lord's name. There is another Purana called as the Brihat Naradiya Purana. What does Narada say there? He says, Harirnam Karirnam Harirnam eva kevalam kalau nastyeva 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 gatiranyada. He says, Harirnam 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 eva kevalam. He says, only and only and only the Lord's name. Kalau in Kali Yuga, Nastyeva, 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 Anyadagadihi, Nasti, Nasti. He says there is no other way in Kali Yuga but by chanting the Lord's name. So here you must note the words. Narada says there is no other way, just like his father Brahma said that there is no other way in Kali Yuga but taking to the chanting of the Lord's name. Now Shuka Brahma Rishi is the son of sage Vedavyasa. Shuka Brahmarshi is even greater than his father Vedavyasa, even greater than his grandfather Parashara, even greater than the great-grandfather Shakti, or even greater than Vasishta, the great-great-grandfather, because Shuka Brahmarshi is a born Brahmajnani. He attained liberation, moksha, even while he was in his mother's womb. So when he was born, he was already a realized person, Shuka Brahmarshi. Now, even though sage Vedavyasa wrote the 18 Mahapuranas, including the Mahabhagavatam, we hear it through the mouth of his son Shuka Brahmarshi. Shuka Brahmarshi is narrating the Bhagavatam to King Parikshit, who has been condemned to die in 7 days by a snake bite. We won't go into the details of that because we will get stuck there. Basically, Shuka Brahmarshi is a prince among sages, whereas Parikshit was a sage among princes. So this was a beautiful combination here. Parikshit is asking Shuka Brahmarshi, Sir, I got only 7 days to live, what should I do? And Shuka Brahmarshi is now saying that, listen to the Mahabhagavatam, that's all you need to do. This happened towards the end of the Dwapara Yuga. So what does Shuka Brahmarshi say in the Mahabhagavatam? He says, Kaler Doshanidhe Rajan Astikyego Bhagan Gunaha Kirtanat Eva Krishnasya Muktasanga Parambrajir. Kaler Doshanidhe He Rajan, He King. Kali is a very bad time. There's no question about it. Astikyego Bhagan Gunaha. But there is one great thing about Kali Yuga. What is that? Kirtanat Eva Krishnasya Muktasanga Parambrajir. He says, just by taking to the chanting of the Lord's name, you can achieve liberation itself. Now Shankaracharya, you all know, we call it Shankara Bhagavad, who lived about 2500 years back. He had several disciples, and Shankara wrote hundreds of hymns, beautiful hymns. Or one of the compositions is called Bhajagovindam. I am sure many of you must have heard. The original name for Bhajagovindam was Moha Mudgara, means an angle we can pulverize delusion. Initially Shankara wrote 12 stanzas, then each one of his disciples add on one stanza to this Bhajagovindam. One of the disciples called as Nityananda said this, Bhajagovindam, Bhajagovindam, Bhajagovindam Mudhamade Namasmarana Anyamubayam nahi pashyamo bhavatarane bhaja govindam, bhaja govindam. He says, hey foolish man, take to the chanting of the Lord's name. Namasmarana anyupayam nahi pashyamo bhavatarane. You will not find any other means but chanting the Lord's name to cross across samsara in Kali Yuga. So he also confirmed. Now you may ask me this question, why am I breaking my head talking about all these things? Let's see what Swami has said. What God wants, if he says, why would we bother about what somebody else has said? I quote, as you know, in the 70s and the 80s, Swami used to write letters to his students in Vrindavan. Fortunately for us, they have all been collected and collated in the name of Premadhara. I am sure you have read that book. And I quote this from Swami's letter, dated the 3rd of October 1977. What does Swami say? Swami says, it is perfectly true to say that, watch the words, it is perfectly true to say that the easiest, the quickest, the shortest means to Sai is by repeating his holy and sweet name, which will convert a man to a divine being and makes a mortal immortal. Then he added, Swami adds there, he says, it is perfectly true to say that Namasmarana is the only solution to problems in this age. Is the only solution to problems in this age. Then Swami added, other spiritual sadhanas like yajnas, yagas, archanas, etc. can be fruitful only if it is combined with the chanting of the divine name of the Lord. So, Namasmarana is the answer. Now, I did mention at the beginning, when Vedavyasa was invited as a chief guest, he came saying, how lucky are people born in Kali Yuga. Why did he say that? The answers are basically two. One, you cannot get a more simpler spiritual sadhana than chanting the Lord's name. I will come to that part of it soon. The another reason is, I am sure you will be happy to hear this. This is from this Humble Pranams. It says, Deshavashyestu yet punyam kriyatedu krute yuge tretayam ekavarshena tat punyam sadhya devrubihi dvapare tacchamasena taddinena kalau yuge. So this is very good news to us. What does it say? Deshavashyestu yet punyam kriyatedu krute. Imagine someone did 10 years of intense penance in the first yuga, the Krita Yuga. In the next Treta Yuga, 1 month of spiritual sadhana was, 1 year of spiritual, 10 years of spiritual sadhana in the Krita Yuga would be equivalent to 1 year of intense spiritual sadhana in the second Yuga, Treta Yuga. Dvapare Tacchamasena. In Dvapara Yuga, 1 month of intense spiritual sadhana was equivalent to that. In Kali Yuga, 1 day spiritual sadhana is equivalent to 10 years of intense spiritual sadhana in the first Yuga. Can you imagine? So, Swami knows that we have, our lifespan is short. We have got hardly any time to do spiritual activities because we are distracted by the Super Bowl and the basketball and all those sorts of things. So, he's given a long rope for us to hang ourselves. So, he does help us wherever it's possible if we are prepared to take advantage of that. Now, remember, Namasmarana being the most important is not only given in our scriptures. All the major religions of the world say the same thing. Take Christianity for that matter. In Psalms 105, what does it say? Glory to the name of the Lord, chant His name. Prophet Muhammad says in his Quran, he says, praise the name of Allah. He's not saying, they are not saying praise the Lord, praise the name of the Lord. Guru Nanak from the Sikhs, Swami says he was the one who initiated this bhajans that we, Sankirtan what we have. He was the one who popularized that. What does he say? He says, if you take to the chanting of the Lord's name, it will convert all your sorrows into joy and happiness. If you take to the chanting of the Lord's name, it will convert all your sorrows and worries into joy and happiness. Now, let us divert a little here. Let us look at the scriptures, other scriptures. What do they talk in general? Because Swami always says, follow the scriptures, follow the scriptures, follow the scriptures. Let us take a few samples from here and there. Now listen to this. Go godidanam grahaneshu kashyam. Go godidanam grahaneshu kashyam. Prayagatira yudakalpavasaha. Yajnayudam meru suvarnadanam. Govindanamnaha nasavamshatamshehi. Here the author is trying to say, he is comparing as if on a balance plate. On one side he is putting the Lord's name and he is trying to compare with other spiritual practices. What is the comparative weight of the Lord's name? He says, Go Kodidanam Grahaneshu Kashyam. Go is cow, Koti is 10 million. Go Kodidanam is giving in charity. Giving a charity at a specific spiritual place becomes much more important. Ganesh Kashya is Kashi or Varanasi. Kashi or Varanasi, as you know, used to be the most spiritual spot for Hindus till 23rd of November 1926, when Swami took birth in Parthi. That became the most important for us. So, when this dictum was given, of course, Swami had not born, so Kashi used to be the most important place. There, if you give 10 million cows in charity in Kashi, what time? Grahaneshu, during an eclipse time. If you do spiritual activities during eclipse time, it becomes doubly potent. So, on one side of the balance, you are putting the spiritual merit acquired by giving 10 million cows in charity during Grahana and eclipse time in Kashi. That and to that you add Prayagatira Yutakalpavasa. Prayag is the Triveni Sangam, where the holiest of holy rivers Ganga, Yamuna and Saraswati come and join together. When you go to UP, you will find that there are only two rivers coming, Ganga and Yamuna coming together. The Saraswati comes subterranean and joins at that place. And taking holy dip there is supposed to be very, very auspicious. So here what does he say? Prayagatira Ayuta Kalpavasaha. If you staying in that Sangam, taking a dip in that holy Sangam again and again, day after day, how long? Prayagatira Ayuta Kalpavasaha. Do you know what is a Kalpa? Kalpa, I have to digress a little here. Kalpa is a term used for Brahma, our creator's one day. Each Brahma has got a fixed tenure, just like President Obama has got 4 years to rule. The same way Brahma is an allotted post. He has got 100 years, 100 Brahma years. The 100 Brahma years is a long time. Each day for Brahma, when he gets up in the morning, a kalpa starts. When in the evening, he closes shop and goes to sleep, the kalpa is ended. So a day for Brahma from morning till evening is one kalpa. And the kalpa contains 1000 Mahayugas. Each Mahayuga, Krita, Treta, Dwapara, Kali, extends for 4.32 million years. So Brahma's day extends over 4,320 million years. When the creation comes into existence, when Brahma goes to sleep, the creation completely disappears, what is called as Pralaya. When he gets up next day morning after 4,320 million years, he will project the whole universe back again in the same way. Such each day is like that. Such he rules for 100 years, he comes to 311,075 or something billion years he lives. After that Brahma changes. And Swami says, such several Brahmas are come and gone. So you can imagine how long it is. So anyway, here he says, if you can stay at this place, Triveni Sangam, taking a dip in the holy river day after day after day for Ayuda Kalpa, 1000 Kalpas if you stay there, how much of merit you would have acquired, that also you add on to the same path. Yajna Ayuda, to that you add the merit acquired by doing 1000 yajnas. Meru Suvarnadana, to that you add the spiritual merit acquired by giving a mountain load of gold. All of the things you add on one side. Onto the other side, you put the Lord's name. A a small portion of the Lord's name will weigh much more than all the other spiritual sadhanas you have acquired. Can you see the power of the Lord's name? See, truly, no one really understands the power of the Lord's name. And I hope I will be able to convince you, there is nothing more potent than the simple name of the Lord. Now, all religions say that it is good to go on, tirtharana, that is you visit holy places. Now, from this perspective, where does the name stand? Listen to this. Tatraiva Ganga Yamuna Triveni Godavari Sindhu Saraswati Ja Sarvani Virthani Vasanti Tatra Yatrachyudotara Katha Prasangaha Tatra Eva Ganga Yamuna Triveni Godavari. He says all the sacred rivers are there itself where a devotee chants the Lord's name. That is why, if you heard Swami says, when you stand in the shower and you are pouring water over your head, take to the chanting of the Lord's name. At least at that time you can't watch TV, you can't read the newspaper, you can't be gossiping when you are in the shower. So at least at this time he says chant the Lord's name. If you do that, the water which you are pouring over your head will acquire the spiritual quality of all the sacred rivers. And as you know, in the Bhaghavan which I talked to you about, the Sugabrahma Rishi, when he is narrating this to Parikshit, he says there are 44 holy rivers in India. And he goes on to say that, look, the people of Bharat believe that even listening to the names of these is itself auspicious. And Sugabrahma Rishi says, Etasam abo bharatyaha praja nam abhireva panantovam atmanaja upasprishanti. He says, the people of Bharat consider it greatly meritorious even to mention the names of these. So what are the 44 holy rivers that Sugabrahma Rishi says? Chandravasam, Tamraparni, Avadotam, Kratabara, Vaihayasi, Kaveri, Veni, Panyasuni, Sharkaravarta, Tungabhadra, Krishnavendya, Bhimarati, Godavari, Nirvindhya, Payoshni, Kavi, Reva, Surasa, Narmada, Charmanvati, Sindhuranda, Shonaschanato, Mahanadi, Vedasprati, Rishubulya, Tasama, Kaushiki, Mandagini, Yamuna, Saraswati, Rishaduri, Gopati, Sarayu, Godaswati, Saptavati, Sushoma, Chatadru, Chandravaga, Maravrta, Pusakta, Asikmi, Vishwagiri Maharadhyaha. So, you must have acquired merit by just listening to the names of the holy rivers. Now, there is one more river added to the list. 23rd of November 1926, Chitravati also was added to the whole list. So, now we have 45 holy rivers. So, he says that the chanting the name takes precedence over all this. A person who takes the chanting of the name need not go on pilgrimages. That's the essence of the things what he says here. Now, in the Vishnu Purana there is a statement. It says, Vipato naiva vipataha, sampato naiva sampadaha. Visparanam Vishnu samban narayana smriti. It says, people think that, if you lose your house or you lost the money, that's a tragedy. He says, no, that's all not tragedies. What is the real tragedy, Forgetting to chant the Lord's name is the greatest tragedy that can befall a human being. In the Vishnu Purana, that's what I say. Now, I didn't mention about the Bhajagovindam just now. In the Bhajagovindam, there are two verses. The very opening stanza of Bhajagovindam is, Shankara says, Bhajagovindam, 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 Modhamate, Samprate, Sannihite Kale, Nahi Rakshati Dukkham Karane, Bhajagovindam, Bhajagovindam. Shankara says, oh foolish man, take to the chanting of the Lord's name. Don't waste your time. Chant the Lord's name. In another place he says, Geyam Gita, Namasmarana, Dheyam Sripati Rupamajastram, Neyam Sajjana Sankeyitam, Dheyam Dina Janagajavittam. He says, Geyam Gita Namasmarana. Chant the Gita and Namasmarana, the 1,000 names of Vishnu. Dheyam Sripati Rupamajastram. Meditate on Dheyam Sripati. Who is Sri? Sri is Lakshmi. Pati is husband. Who is Lakshmi's Pati? Is Vishnu. Rupa Vajastram. Meditate on the form of Vishnu. Neyam Sajjana Sankejittam. Be in the company of the good and the godly. Deyam Dina Vijnanagitavittam. Spend your money in helping the poor and the forlorn. So everybody says chant the name, chant the name, chant the name. Vishnu Sahasranamam. Vishnu Sahasranamam is 1008 names of Vishnu. Where do you get it from? You get it through the Mahabharata. The scene is, the Mahabharata war is over. The Bhishmacharya, when Kumai talked to you about, the 10th day of the 18th day war, Bhishma falls from the chariot. But his body has been pierced by hundreds of arrows on front and back. When he falls off the chariot, his body does not even touch the ground. The arrows are keeping him away from the ground. It's called Sharashaya, or a bed of arrows. And now what happens is, he was one of the greatest on Dharma. He knew everything about Dharma. So Vishnu, Krishna will tell the Pandavas, including Yudhishthira, he says, go and ask questions about Dharma. He will be able to tell you. Now what had happened was, even after he fell off the chariot, he does not give up his life then. He waits for 56 to 57 days before he gave up his body. Why? Because the scriptures say, if you give up the body doing Uttarayana. Uttarayana is the summer solstice, when the sun starts moving towards the northern horizon. If you give up your life, you don't come back into this world. This Krishna says in the Gita also, Agner Jyotiraka Shukla Shanmasa Uttarayanam Tatra Prayagaschandi Brahma Vidhojana. The people who die in Uttarayana will go along the path of light, what is called as, when we die, we usually take two routes. One, through which if you go, you come back into this world. One which you take, you don't come back into this world. The Uttarayana Margam is the path of light. So, he waits for 56 days before he dies, because he had the blessing of his father Shantanu, that he could give up his body at whenever he felt like. So when he is lying in the bed of the arrows for 56 days, Yudhishthira is coming and asking at the beginning of Krishna dharmic questions. In one of the questions, if you read the Vishnu Sahasranam, I am sure you all know, in the beginning, there are 6 questions Yudhishthira asks. Yudhishthira Raja, Kimegam Devatam Loge, Kimba Pyekam Paraganam, Stuvandakam Kavarchandah, Prabrigar, Manava Shubham, Kodharma, Sarva Dharmanam, Bhavada, Parabovadaha, Kim Jaban, Uchchade Janduhu, Janma Samsara Bandhanat. He says, Kim Egam Devadam Loge. Who is the greatest Lord of this universe? Kimva Pyegam Parayana. Who is the ultimate one who can liberate you? Stuvandaha Kam. Who should be adored? Kam Archandaha. Who should be worshipped? Prabhu Kodharma Sarvadharmana Parvaha. What is the greatest dharma for a human being? Kim Jaban Mucchade Jandu Janma Samsara Bandhana. But chanting whose name can a person attain liberation? What does Bhishma say? Jagat Prabham Deva Devam Anantam Purushottamam Stuvan Nama Sakastrena Purusha Sadadostida Stuvan Nama Sakastrena. By chanting the last 1000 names, that is the answer. The greatest dharma for a human is that. Later on Bhishma will say, Pavitranam Pavitram Yo Mangalana Cha Mangalam. Pavitranam Pavitram. Bhishma lost all superlatives. No, he does not have any more superlatives to use against us. So he says, Pavitranam Pavitram. Purer than purity itself. Purity acquires purity is because of association with God. Mangalana Cha Mangalam. More auspicious than auspiciousness itself. Dharmo adhikatamo madaha. He adhikaha, adhikataraha, adhikatamaha. Good, better, best. So Bhishma goes on using superlatives after superlatives to say that your duty is to take to the chanting of the name. The Lalita Sahasranam, 1008 names of Lakshmi, the Lalita Ambika Parvati, or whatever you want to say. See, it is actually got from the Brahmanda Purana. This is a conversation between sage Hayagriva and Kumbhasambhava. Kumbhasambhava is another name for sage Agastya. He says about this, he says, Tasya punyabhalam vatshe srinutvam Kumbhasambhava gangadi sarvatirtheshu yasnyayat kodi janmasu. He says, by chanting the 1008 names of Mother, it will be equivalent or more important than taking 100 crores lives and taking a dip in the Ganga day after day after day after day. So, I have told you here again a gist of many of these, the importance given by Swami, given by the scriptures, etc. And I am not going to quote more from scriptures, because if you have not been convinced yet, I give up. Because basically, as Swami says, look, it is easy to wake up a person who is truly sleeping. But if you pretend to sleep, I can't wake you up. It's impossible. So in the same way, Swami says, it's easy to wake up a person who is truly asleep. And if you're truly asleep, you know now the answer is Namasmarana. Now, we go on to the specifics of Namasmarana. I hope what I told you is enough to make you, if you're not already doing, to take up the Namasmarana. The question which may come to your mind is, which name should I choose? The answer is this: you can choose any name of God that you want. Today morning somebody sang that song, all names are the same. In 1968, during the birthday celebration, Swami's birthday speech, Swami said, there is no need to change your faith or your religion, having seen me and heard me. Continue the worship of your chosen God in the manner already familiar to you, and then you will see that you are coming closer and closer to me, for all names are mine, all forms are mine. So you can choose any name you want, but there is a caveat here. Suppose a person has been initiated, your guru initiated you into a particular name, do not change that. Continue that same name. If you have not chosen a name yet, you want to choose a name, this is some guides here. One, choose, if you have got a particular form which you like. There are some people who like the Shiva form, some people who like the Krishna form, some people who like the Sai's form. So, choose a name which corresponds to the form that you like. If you like Shiva form, you can chant Om Namah Shivaya. If you like Narayana, Om Namo Narayanaya. Krishna's form, if you like Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Or like Swami's form, Om Sri Sai Ram Namaha. Okay, you can choose whichever you want. Think before you choose. Once you have chosen and started chanting, there are certain do's and don'ts. What are the do's? The do's are one, chant it. There is no point in just choosing it and keeping it in cold storage. This is like Swami told a story. Here was this great devotee and he fell ill. He was running a high fever, chill, shivering, she's coughing up some phlegm. Ultimately he decides to go to the doctor. He went to the doctor diagnosed him with pneumonia and gave a prescription for the antibiotic. He said, take this one twice a day for 10 days and gave the prescription. He got that prescription, put it to his eyes, very carefully he brought it home. He took out his shoes and everything, took this prescription, put it in the altar and started doing puja to it, 1,000 names. Swami says, the paper is not important, what is written in that you need to follow. By doing archana to that paper, your pneumonia is not going to get cured. You have to go follow the instructions what is given in that, put it into practice and get the antibiotic and take the antibiotic, then you will get cured. So in the same way, there is no point in choosing a name if you do not chant it. So once you've chosen, do chant the name. That's number one. The second do is always add Om to it, irrespective of what you chose. Add in the beginning Om. Why? Om is another name for God. Om ityekaksharam brahma vyakaran mam anusparan. Om iti ekaksharam brahma. This Om, single word, represents God. Or you must have heard Om yadi brahma Om iti dakam sarvam. Om iti ekaksharam brahma. The Mahanarayana Upanishad will say Om ityekaksharam brahma agnar devata brahma gityarisham gayatram chandam paramattam sarupam sayujyam viniyogam. So Om Om by itself is a very potent mantra. Because Om encompasses God's name. If suppose you do not like any particular form of God, you can start chanting Om because Om is equipotent. So when you add Om to whatever you are chanting, it doubles the potency. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna will say, Om Tat Sat Iti Nirdesho Brahmana Stravidaspritaha Brahmana Stena Vedascha Yajnascha Vihitapura Om Tat Sat Iti Nirdesho. Krishna says, O Arjuna, there are three terms which refers to God. Om Tat Sat. Om refers to God. Tat means that. That also refers to God. Sat or existent, that also refers to God. And in the next line Krishna says, Tasmat, therefore, Tasmat Om Ityudagritya Yajnadana Bakriya. Tasmat, he says, Arjuna, therefore, because Om represents God's name, you must always start everything with Om. Any auspicious activities you start with Om, which you always do. So the same way Swami says, whenever, whatever name you choose, whatever mantra you choose, always add an Om at the beginning. That is the second thing. The third thing what you should do is, whenever possible, when you chant the name, try to remember the form of God which represents that. If you are saying Sai Ram, try to think of Swami's form. If you are saying about Krishna, try to think of that form, if it is possible. So these are the three do's. Now there are certain don'ts. Do not. What is number one? Do not is, do not ever condemn the name chosen by somebody else. Do not ever speak any, do not pass any remarks on the name what somebody else chose. That is number one. The second is, once you have been chanting a particular name, do not change that name. So this is a fairly common thing what will happen. Suppose let's say that you have been chanting Sai Ram, Sai Ram, Sai Ram. Then Shivaratri day night bhajan is going on. Shiva bhajans, as you know, the tempo gets great. So you start, that sounds much better. So you may start saying, okay, tomorrow onwards I will start Shiva's name. Swami says, don't do that. For several reasons. The important reasons are, number one, you lose a lot of effort that you already spent on it. It is like saying, suppose you went to the medical school. After 2 years you decided that, oh, you don't like that. You go and join engineering college. 2 years into that, you oh no, I don't like this. So you are wasting energy and effort. The same way, if you chant for some time a name and change, you have lost a lot of effort. Number one. Number two, Swami says, it is like restarting a journey. Suppose you want to go from Miami, you want to drive to New York. You drove about 100 miles, then come back and say, no, I'm going to fly there. So you come back and start all over again. That's like wasting effort and restarting the journey. But more important than that is, when you start chanting the Lord's name for some time, every cell in your body starts vibrating to that particular vibration. Even after chanting the name for several years, you will find that even when you are not chanting, you will realize that your mind, in the mind, it's automatically it will go on chanting. The proof of that is, there are two examples I will give you. Time is okay. Okay. The two examples. Number one is Hanuman. Hanuman, as you know, Hanuman always chanted Rama's name. So the war was over and Rama's coronation is going on. So in the coronation they were giving rich presents to everybody, and now it is Hanuman's turn. And Rama knows what is in the mind of Hanuman. So he tells Sita, give whatever appropriate present you want to Hanuman. So Sita is thrilled. So she wants to give the best possible gift to Hanuman. So what does she do? She takes her own necklace which was given by her own father Janaka during the marriage, and she presents it to, it was a pearl necklace to Hanuman. It was very clear that Hanuman was quite displeased with that. So he looks at it, puts it in his ear, he started biting each of the pearl and breaking that, putting it in his ear. So the whole assembly is shocked. So Vibhishana is saying, Hanuman, you are showing your monkey attitude. You are no, he is saying, don't behave like this. But Rama is all smiles. So Hanuman says, please forgive me, sir. So Vibhishana is saying, why are you putting it to your ear? He says, I am looking for whether this is able to chant Rama's name. I do not want a thing which will not chant Rama's name. So Vibhishana is furious, he says, it's an inanimate thing, a pearl necklace. Do you expect it to chant the name? Hanuman said, yes sir. And what he did, he pulled a hair from his body and put it to Vibhishana's ear. That hair was chanting Ram, 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 Ram like this. Another instance from Dwapara Yuga, I'll tell you. Krishna used to be very fond of Panchali, as you know. And so what happens is, the Krishna's, Rukmini and Satyabhama. Rukmini and Satyabhama is always wondering, why is Krishna always talking about Draupadi? Panchali is the other name for Draupadi. Why is he so fond of her? What is so great about her? So Krishna knows that this is what is going through her mind. So as Swami waits for an opportune moment to teach you lessons. Krishna was waiting for an appropriate situation. One day they were all there. Rukmini, Satyabhama and Panchali. Panchali had just gone and taken a bath. She had apparently long hair which went up to her knees. And after the bath she is trying to dry her hair because it is so long and so wet. So Krishna is saying, see, why don't you both Rukmini and Satyabhama go and help her to dry her hair. So they said, okay. Then they started drying her hair. They were shocked to find that each hair of Draupadi was chanting Krishna, 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 Krishna. So then they realized why Krishna was giving so much importance to her. So once you have chanted a particular name for some time, do not under any circumstances change that name. The next question is, how do you take to Namasmarana? There are 3 different ways. Number 1 is what is called as Likhita Japa. That is writing the Lord's name on a piece of paper 108 times, 1008 times, or as much as you can every day. This is very important. I'll give you an actual thing. A thing happened. But see, I was born in a very small village in Kerala, and this happened to a couple about 17 kilometers north of my place, in a place called Mancheri. Balsheri. Thanks for the correction. See, they always come and help you. So, or not help you, they correct you. So